to Man Media TV and welcome to the third episode of building a D-Series Honda engine for about 650 wheel horsepower. Today I'm very excited. We got the first Man Media TV shirts and some stickers here that were actually donated to me by a customer of mine that got a glimpse of what I was doing. She owns a print shop. And she printed the shirts, some stickers, and she printed some other stuff for me that I'm going to be using later on. She decided to, I told her I will give her a shout out. She decided she wanted to remain anonymous. But if you like what you see and you're in the San Antonio area and want to make some banners, prints, t-shirts, hats, whatsoever, send me an email or send me a private message and I'll hook you up with her information. She does a great job. Now, second reason I am extremely excited about today's video is because we already took all the formalities out of the videos. I already introduced myself, let you guys know that all these videos were going to be based on my opinions and my opinions only. Second, I told you what chassis I was going to use. Everybody knows already we're going to be using a Civic Coupe. And now we get to the exciting parts. We get to give you some information about this whole build, the parts that are out there, and everything else. In today's video, we're gonna cover stock sleeves, we're gonna cover block guards, we're gonna cover every single method that I use to, in my 20 years experience to gain horsepower reliably and do whatever it takes to keep these D-Series blocks intact. Now remember this, I'm going to give you the methods, how much horsepower I was able to hold on these blocks, and I'm going to go a little bit into cost and reliability and if it's really worth it. So let's start with this little engine here, which is stock sleeve. Okay guys, so let's start with the first scenario. This particular engine is a D16Y8. Quick way of noticing is a D16Y8 is it's gonna have the stamping on the front of the block, plus the dipstick for the oil meter, the oil pump. It's on the opposite side of the engine next to the motor mount. Now, if you see a D16A6 or a D16C6, it's going to be right in the middle of the block. Now, this scenario is going to be stock rod, stock piston, stock sleeve, but we're here to talk about sleeves. These sleeves, per Honda engineer, so on and so forth, they're rated right at about 300 tensile strength, which means they're rated for what a D16 engine is. You're looking these D16s, they're anywhere from 90 something horsepower up to like 130 on the different variations, the VTECs and so on and so forth. This one in particular was ran with a turbo for a while, and it spun a bearing. I'm just using it for just to show you. So the stock sleeves, if I was going to tell you how much horsepower these stock sleeves could hold, me personally, I've taken them to like 205, 210 wheel horsepower. After that, I've never felt safe. I was running for the longest little turbo kit in an engine like this, and it was working perfectly. The problem with the stock sleeves on a turbo or a naturally aspirated Honda Civic is throughout the rev range, the more power, the faster the engine is moving. There's a common issue with cast sleeves. It's called sleeve shake, sleeve vibration, sleeve rot, so on and so forth, which is the higher RPMs, the higher velocity these pistons are moving at, the sleeve shakes. Okay, the sleeve shakes, and the sleeve actually loses its roundness. It loses its shape. So they tend to gap here, get little castings gotten away from it because of the because of it. When the sleeve spans, it will create little, minor cracking in the sleeves, and you tend to lose compression. You tend to lose versatility, so on and so forth. Also, if you look at the sleeve, there's nothing holding the sleeve in top dead center nor the middle of the sleeve, which is actually where the most pressure happens in a compression cycle. So right in the middle, there's nothing supporting the sleeve. The sleeve is completely floating. So that's what causes, these engines after 200 wheel horsepower to be very unreliable. Now, I've seen people run a lot more than that, changing to, pistons and, aftermarket pistons and rods. But this is my problem with it. This is my situation. If you're gonna open the engine and spend, 400, even if you go cheap, if you go Vitaras with P2Ps, or if you go Vitaras with no notch rods, you could just, pull the engine apart, throw new bearings, throw the rods, throw the pistons with the rings or whatsoever. You spend, $600-700 between all that. In the meantime, you throw in a new water pump, so on and so forth. Let's say you spend $800 on it. Why not do something extra to protect your investment, right? So, a little conclusion, and I'm trying to be super fast on this one because to me it's not worth. If you're opening the engine to do aftermarket parts, it's not worth leaving the sleeves, at least on the D series. Okay, just let me clarify, this is a D series build. People are claiming 500, 600 on the case, on stock sleeves, nothing done to it, even on stock engines. This is a D series only vlog. So to me, once again, there's no way, my personal build, I'm gonna spend $800 on putting new rods, new pistons, bearings, so on and so forth, and not at least put a Blockguard. Which brings me to my second engine, and one that I've used for many years, and it's very, very reliable for me, which is a Blockguard. Okay, so the second engine is going to be an engine with a Blockguard. This is actually a D16A6. This is actually one of my personal engines that I've used in many variations. Like I said, I like the CRX. I worked a lot with the CRX, so D16A6, it's the engine that came from the factory with it. At some points we did some non-VTEC C6s on my CRX, but this is actually the engine that I've gotten the most horsepower out of, which is D16A6 with a Blockguard. What is a Blockguard? A Blockguard is just a gasket type ring that you're gonna put in the cylinder clearance in the water jacket to reduce the sleeve shape. Okay, what it does, it allows water to flow through it. One of the common misconceptions is when you put a Blockguard, you're gonna create hot spots on the cylinder. From my experience and from some measuring that we've done, that is not true. Reason being is aluminum conducts aluminum conducts all of the heat it transfers the cooling properties of the water the same way as anything else. That's why these are aluminum blocks. Okay, so this is the what I've used. This is the problem with it, and throughout, you know, blowing engines up, I came to learn that a Blockguard by itself, you could run, you know, 300, 350 to the wheels, no problem. Okay, now it has to be a properly installed Blockguard. When I first started, and you know, what I've seen and what I've been a victim of it is, you press a Blockguard in it, leave it like that, the sleeve shake is going to cause it to bottom out. It's going to cause it to sink. Now, if you put a Blockguard on, press it, and you solder it, what's going to happen is the cylinder is going to lose a little bit of the roundness of it, a little bit of the symmetry of it. Now, of course, you're going to have to hone and reshape reshape and deck your engine. Okay, now something to remember is this here is ancient technology. Everybody knows there's another method that's about the price of a Blockguard that works. I'm telling you, if your only means are to, you know, run 350 reliably, a Blockguard will do. Just remember, a properly installed Blockguard will allow you to go 350, you know, 375 to the wheels with not a problem. Improperly installed Blockguard, it will destroy your engine real quick. Now, some other people will do Blockguards and they'll do cement in the sleeves to make it harder. That works. Also, I've seen many friends of mine running, you know, 400 to the wheels with that. My problem is at that point, you know, the cooling of the vehicle is terrible and it becomes a drag only car. Like you've heard numerous times in my build is going to be a streetable car. And I've always built streetable cars too. So remember, as I explained on the previous engine, the problem with a Blockguard is you do reduce the stress to the cylinder by reducing the cylinder shake. But if you see the way a piston moves, is going to move up and down, and the rod will do this. Okay, the rod will go sideways, right? Because it cannot just go like this. So when the rod is just about there, it's the highest point of pressure on the cylinder sleeve, which is right when the rod, you know, when the piston is about halfway on the cylinder, okay, which is what they call the compression cycle and the exhaust cycle in different chambers. You're going to have 2 compressing and 2 in the exhaust cycle. That is actually when you have two in the exhaust cycle, you're going to have 2 top dead center. When you have 2 in the intake cycle, in the compression cycle, you're going to have 2 top dead center. So at that point, it creates a lot of pressure in the cylinder sleeve. So when you do that, you're reducing the stress here, but by not allowing that sleeve to shake, it puts a lot of pressure right in the middle of the sleeve. That's when I got creative, and many people got creative and started installing 2 Blockguards. 1 top dead center and 1 right in the middle of the compression cycle. The problem with that at that point is, yes, you do having a solid surface there, having a solid surface right in the middle of the cylinder, you do create a cooling problem. At that point, you have 2 water pools or water jackets divided. You know, you're making one solid water jacket, you're gonna divide it with that extra block guard. That didn't work out. It didn't work out for me. I blew like 2 engines doing that. Then, if you allow me to move this little engine real quick, I got very creative. And I did this. At that point, we did studs, block studs. Okay, so these, if you go to a machine shop, they'll charge you. Back then, I haven't done them in a while. I was paying about $12 per. Okay, so basically, the machine shop will find the center, drill a hole, and put a stud on it. Okay, what that's gonna do is, at that point, you are holding the sleeve, putting extra support on the sleeve at the point of maximum pressure, at the point of maximum stress, and relieving it. And if I go the other way with it, I have 2 in this side. Reason why I have 2 is this is going to be the intake portion of the engine. This is where the water jacket comes, so I wanted a little extra support. I'll tell you this much, with this engine, like I said, with this engine like this, we made close to 500 horsepower. Now, is this all really necessary in time and day? No. Why? Figure $12.50 a pop. That's $25, $50, $100. Right? Then I have 4 on the back. That's $150. Blockguard. You could buy on eBay a $30, $40 blockguard. I wouldn't recommend that. There's a couple of builders out there that have decent blockguards, you know, because the problem with the blockguard is you want the water to flow with it. You want the ports to match your gasket. You want the ports to match the head so you could get proper cooling. So, you know, if 150, a decent blockguard, probably made by STR or whatsoever. I believe this is what I have here. Call it $100. You're at 250. You gotta hone the block. You gotta you're gonna have to bore it out to 75.5, because once again you are losing you're losing the roundness of the structure, so you gotta get it round again. This is a $300 job. This is a $300 job that, hey, figure, you spend $300, put $500 worth of pistons, Vitara pistons and rods without having to notch the block, put it there, you know, $750 at the most, bearings and all that, $1,000, and you have a block that will actually hold 500. I will do it. Now, of course, there is a third solution, which is going to be cylinder management, CSS, or cylinder support systems, sorry, and I'll show you what that looks like in a second. Okay, so this is what a cylinder support system from CNC Werx is going to look like. It's basically a closed deck. They'll convert your engine into a closed deck engine. If you've seen what made Subaru, for example, very famous, it was a closed deck, I believe it was a EJ22 engine. Now, these people perfected what a closed deck engine is. They built a Blockguard type. You know, they don't want you to call it a Blockguard, but it's a Blockguard type plaque out of an aluminum tensile that they claim it actually deflects the heat from the combustion chamber. So it's going to make your engine run a little bit colder, and it's going to fix being such a thick closed deck. What it's going to do is it's going to fix the problem for the cylinder shake, for not having that support in the center of the sleeve, yet because of the cooling abilities, or the yeah, the cooling abilities of the closed deck is going to actually make your engine run colder. Now, my build was going to be based on a CSS system. Reason I didn't do it is they still, you still are running the same cylinder sleeve. You're still running the same cylinder sleeve at a, you know, 300 tensile strength cast iron. So, once the high heat, the cylinder expands, it still has the capabilities of creating those minimal cracks on the cylinder wall. Yet I do recommend this product for 500, 600 street car. There's actually two Puerto Ricans out of Orlando, Florida, that run the fastest D series engines, and they are running CSS systems on it. So for a drag car that you're gonna run one pass, put it in your pit, work on it. It'll be an hour between passes. You might run 3 or 4 passes on any given day. Um, I find it perfect. Their warranty is a very good warranty. There's a lot of companies. It's race parts. Not every company is actually going to give you a solid warranty. They're giving you a 500 wheels horsepower, no questions asked, warranty. Of course, they claim on their website that you have to provide a dyno sheet, also who the tuner was. So that's basically their warranty. Like I said, I really recommend this product. Is inexpensive enough that if you're building a street car and want to save, $600-700 over um, what doing ductile sleeves, it's perfect. They'll do There's a one-stop shop. They'll do the sleeve. They'll do the honing, the decking, the prep, jet wash, balancing. They'll even assemble your engine. So it's a great company. I've spoken to Jeff several times over text messages, over Facebook, and the phone, and it's a great guy. He'll give you very good information. Another reason I didn't use him, it was because at the time I was actually going to send my engine out there. My engine was already bored out to 77 millimeters. With I had it's the engine I actually showed before. It's 77 millimeters with a block guard. And then after 77, remember you put this, the cylinder is going to distort, so you're going to have to hone it. And after 77 millimeters, there's not enough material there to hone and make a reliable engine. So that was one of the other reasons I ended up not using that engine. And so I actually, the engine I'm going to be building is a D16C6, not a D16A6. So I could have had sent the vehicle, but after speaking to one of the other manufacturers that I'm going to talk about with the next engine, I figured might as well pay the extra money. As far As pricing, um, when I talked to Jeff, they have two builds they could do on the D series. One of them is a 600 wheel horsepower closed deck, and then they have a 700 wheel horsepower closed deck, which of course, I'll definitely go with the 700 wheel horsepower. They were gonna charge $350 for just basically bore, hone, deck, and a jet wash. They were gonna charge me $200 to O-ring the vehicle, do the copper. People call it firewire. People call it O-ring groove. They call it many, basically to cut the O-ring groove in the top of the cylinder sleeve. Um, and then he was gonna charge $120 to uh, do the cylinder notching. Figure I figured about $180 in shipping. 90 each way, and that was gonna be a $1,270 build. Okay, $1,270 block that's capable of 700 horsepower. Now you're coming into a $2,000 block. But hey, like I've said, everybody, you gotta pay to play. $2,000 for 700 horsepower is not bad at all. You're literally tripling, not tripling, my bad. You're actually going at 600 horsepower, wheel horsepower. Figure a D16 engine averages 125 horsepower to the crank. That translates to like 92 horsepower to the wheel. So at 600 horsepower, you are going six times uh, factory horsepower to this engine. Now picture this, and once again, I love all kinds of cars. I love V8s, I love sixes, I love imports, I love domestics, I love them all. I'm just a plain old car guy. But here we go, and we're going crazy over Camaros at 850 wheel horsepower with 8 cylinders. When you figure their factory output, I want to say a 400 brand new Camaro with an LT4 engine, you're looking at 455 horsepower to the crank. Put it, let's do round even numbers. Say 400 to the wheels. You're just doubling the horsepower, and people are going crazy over that. Now, once again, 1,200 dollars, $1,300 to build a block that's capable of that amount. That's a great deal. I love CSS. I actually have two engine blocks that I'm going to be building later on for different purposes, and they are going straight to CSS. So don't hesitate to give Jeff a call. This is, very knowledgeable people. They are, their turnaround time is 4 weeks, and they stick by it. So use them. Very good product. It's just, at least for me at my time of the build, I wasn't ready for it. Now, next I'm gonna talk about what I went with. There's three major manufacturers. So cylinder sleeving or re-sleeving, it's just what the word says. You're basically taking the whole sleeves and replacing them with, in this case, ductile sleeves. Basically, they're rated. Some manufacturers claim they're rated right at about 1,300 ductile pounds. and they have a memory sense to them. Basically, they'll get heated up, they'll expand, and they could immediately go back to their natural form. Um, it's a technique that's it's been happening in the diesel engines for many years. I've actually tried it on a. I actually tried to at some point to do a diesel liner on top of my a diesel liner on my sleeves, um, on my factory sleeves, and that doesn't that didn't work out too well. Now there's many companies out there that do them, but I talked to what I considered were the three major players in the sleeving. So the first guy I called when I decided to do sleeves, it was I called Dan Benson's shop, and actually to find out Dan Benson has a one man shop. He basically does everything himself. He answers emails, he answers the phone. It's a very cool operation. Uh, if you don't know who Benson Sleeves is, figure this out. When Stephen Papadakis in his AEM yellow Civic, he was using Benson sleeves. Actually, if you look at this picture on the bumper, on the rear bumper, you will see the Benson. So actually seeing that, knowing that and being a late 90s, early 2000s Honda enthusiast, I had to give Dan Benson's the first choice. Talked to Dan. He explained his process to me. He explained that he wished to remain a one man shop. That way, no mistakes were going to be made on his product. He explained to me, every manufacturer uses just about the same casting. It's just about the installation process. He believes with a weak point for a sleeve engine will be the point where the two cylinder sleeves meet. He went through the whole process, explained it to me, and I was highly impressed. In fact, he provided me with a quote, and believe it or not, his quote was the least expensive out of all of the people that I actually talked to. So that actually came in at $1,400 for the whole project. Later on, he uh, told me that he was going to do the block notching and the firing for an extra $100. So basically $1,500 to do everything. And that was that it was gonna cost me using his account like $90 to ship everything to his place and then back. Actually, we had agreed on shipping it to my engine builder in Ohio. Um, so I decided to do a little more research after that, and so I interview Darton Sleeves, and this is what I got. So I initially called Real Street Performance. Actually, I didn't call directly to Darton because they're a Darton supplier, and I've already bought plenty of parts through them, and they've every single time they treat me like family. Um, so basically, I called them. They explained, Darton Sleeves is they have a unique metal that they use. Of course, again, they claim aircraft quality. It's they do have several sleeves types. They recommend the Darton MIDs, but they have a wet and a dry sleeve option. They have a liner option. They do sleeves for top fuel, funny cars, drag racing, so on and so forth. Now, I do believe they do have the best system, at least the highest or the easiest system to work in the industry. They have a removable sleeve. They do an O-ring on the bottom to so that way you don't have to cement the sleeve. That you don't have to create any kind of bracing, any welding, anything. It's just um, it's an O-ring that's holding it. That also makes it a lot easier to interchange if you decide if you mark one with a broken rod, and you want to replace it, you could just replace one. Now, the reason, even thinking their sleeve was one of the easiest ones to work with, the reason I didn't go with Darton even after talking directly to Darton was very simple. Pricing, it wasn't just there for me. Second is the fact that basically they'll sell you the sleeve and they do point you in the right direction of several um, machine shops they work with. But at this point, you have a top player like Dan Benson, probably not doing the quantity of sleeves that Darton does. Yet he does his own shop. His product is gonna be installed by him. You know, um, the product is gonna be installed by him. It's gonna be warranted with him, and it's his own seal on the installation. Now, Darton, they sell you the sleeves, whatever you want. They'll sell you the sleeves. They point you in the right direction to a machine shop, and they just give you uh, instructions of how to do it. As far as me, for example, in the state of Texas, at least not in the. Let me rephrase this. Um, in San Antonio, which is where I live, import racing is not the biggest. You big shops here, they work on Corvettes, Camaros, Mustangs. Um, you have a couple of GTR builders. They have you know dragster builders, so on and so forth. There's not a top machine shop working with exclusively Honda. So I was either going to do something in California, do something with somebody in the East Coast, or maybe something with somebody in Orlando. I wasn't going to be, I wasn't going to be able to monitor or whatsoever. I had to go by Darton's word. Mind you, let me tell you this. Darton does hold a patent on their MID, on their modular sleeves, their MID. So everything was pointing in the right direction. Um, like I said, until that part actually killed it for me. I will tell you this: I would have gone with Darton if they were they were um, you know willing to, or they had an installation at locally. Now their sleeve is rated like all of the other sleeves, at about 130 thousand psi tensile strength. So you know it's basically a material you're not gonna be destroying. So after, like I said, I didn't put much attention to Darton because that turned me on off. That actually turned me off, and I do seen, known, chatted with a bunch of racers that swear by the Darton sleeves, and they do have the dyno sheets, the track times to prove what I'm saying wrong. This was just a personal choice of mine. Once again, I don't want to deal if if you're selling something like that, and you don't have a regular installer or something like that. That's something not for me. Pricing, the MID package. As far as I did some research, you could find it anywhere 699, 750, somewhere around there. Figure installation by itself is gonna be a grand. Installation, decking, deburring, honing, so on and so forth. O-ring, whatsoever. You're gonna be spending $2,200 doing a Darton sleeve, and I would have paid the $2,200 if they would have, if they would have done the installation themselves, or have a one-stop shop. Even if they outsource it and they back up the that installation, I would have completely gone with Darton. So once again, I didn't pay Darton much attention because of that. So I moved on, and I actually went and interviewed or chatted with the people at Golden Eagle, and the experience was amazing. So I called Golden Eagle, and I actually started talking to a guy of the name of Matthew Valles or Valles. Um, and he starts talking to me about the cylinder sleeves that they offer, you know, backing out track times, since when they were doing it, and customer service was next to none. It was perfect. Um, I've never gotten so much information without asking from anybody. He sent me some pictures. He told me, the specs on the sleeves. Actually, they're also a 130,000 psi ductile sleeve, same memory capabilities, but they do something that interests me and that I've explained in the first two engines that I've explained, is that if you see on the picture that I'm showing, whenever they install the sleeve, it actually has an O-ring that protects that sleeve in that center portion, what I was saying, where the most the highest stress happens in an engine. So unfortunately, when I got the bright idea of vlogging these my engine build had already been delivered to my engine builder in Ohio. So I didn't have the engine here to go over it with you guys. Put it in the jack stand. The engine at the moment is on the final stages of assembly and being degreed. So, but basically, guys, I decided to go with Golden Eagle for a couple of reasons. They offer a lifetime warranty against sinking and cylinder sleeve cracking. They do everything in house. Um, they're one of the only, and I believe, because I tried to do some research on it, they're one of the only ISO certified machine shops in the state of California. And not even that, when they send me the quote, and I'll let me pull up that quote real quick. So when I got the quote from them, we were looking at 1180 for the cylinder sleeving. Then they were actually charging, $50 for cutting the O-ring groove. For the finish and bore, they had $265. They did include a disposal fee of like $10, some packaging and handling of like $20. Then this is one of the neatest things is whenever I got in contact with him, he asked me if I had he thought I was a business. So he asked me if I had a FedEx account so I could send the package. When I told them no, they decided to go in and provide. Of course, they charged me for it, but they used their account, which it helped me a lot. They provided a label for me to send it out to them. They charged me $85 for that and $85 for sending it back to me. I did send them my pistons because I wanted I wanted when they did my finish, I wanted them to use a torque plate based on my pistons. They notched the pistons and they only charged me $65 for that. And they did some other things to the block that weren't in the invoice that we agreed on later, and they never they didn't charge me for it. So at the end of the day, I ended up paying Golden Eagle 1760 for the block, which is you know call it $700 more than, well, actually $600 more than cylinders the CNC works for their system. It was gonna be $300 more than Benson's, to do to do Benson systems, and it was gonna be who knows how much less for than Darton. And like I said, guys, Golden Eagle is a class act. They did everything by the book, just to tell you, as soon as they got the block out there, they called me. We had like a 15-minute conversation of what I wanted, what were my goals. They actually sat down. We three-way called my engine tuner and decided, what kind of how deep we wanted our O-ring, what we wanted as far as a board to comply for the piston rings and the piston rings expansion. We went through this. We went into detail of what were the power goals, what exactly I wanted to do. So whenever they built this, they built it exclusively for me, and it was great. It was a great experience. I didn't mind paying the extra $300, $400, whatever it came out to, just because of the quality of service, just because they kept updating me on the progress, what they did for me, that they did for me for free. They even I had told them to install the O-ring, forgetting that the final assembly of the block was going to be done by my engine builder. So they even when the engine got to the builder and we opened the box, and I will be posting a video of that. We opened the box. They had, of course, they have included the copper wire since they didn't install, and he even threw in some clippers to cut the copper O-ring. So like I said, great experience. Their blogs, I guarantee if somebody is gonna make it to the 1,000 wheel horsepower goal, in a D series is gonna be using something done by Golden Eagle because their quality, you got to look at this block is crazy. So this is just a quick picture of the famous support ring that I think is what makes the Golden Eagle sleeve better than anyone, better insulation. Just because, once again, it has 130 psi ductile sleeve. Plus, they do that support ring. It's actually allowing the vehicle. It's giving the sleeve another support point on the block. Um, so water passes through it. Water passes through it. It keeps the cooling conditions, and it works great. Now next, that's gonna be my rot notch. If you see how big it is, let me tell you, I've told you from the beginning, this is a very, very serious build. So just picture the clearance I needed for the rod I'm gonna be using. And last picture is just the finished product. That's the installed sleeve. Now, I am going to be posting a continuation video of actually my engine builder. Remember, the block went from Golden Eagle to Ohio to Melvin Ports, which is he's going to be doing my assembly, and he did my head port and polish, so on and so forth. So I'm going to be posting a video of him opening the box. Just so you guys know the quality of the Golden Eagle product. So hey guys, it's about 3:10 in the morning. Um, I just realized I haven't recorded a conclusion for this video. So here it goes. I chose Golden Eagle for a couple of reasons. Number one, their customer support is great. They did a lot of things for me that weren't discussed from the beginning. So, they didn't hesitate to do them for me when I asked for them. Number two, value. Their product offering, they're not the cheapest. They're not the most expensive out there as far as sleeving goes. But what they offered for the money is excellent. I spent $700 more than what I had initially budgeted for, and I don't regret it at all. It was, it's a flawless system. It's a great system. I guarantee you, the first guy to push 900s, push 1,000 on a D series engine is gonna be using their sleeves. If you look at the invoice that I posted, you'll see more or less what my goals are. The only reason I haven't actually come out and said what my real goal is because I know my current turbo kit is going to be limiting me. It's a turbo kit that has been used before on another project, and we know what the turbo kit is capable of, but we're going to use it anyways. We know what we're going to get from it. The second thing is we still haven't decided what we're going to do with the transmission. I am 99% positive that I will be using a D series transmission. I don't want to be a D2B guy. I've talked to several manufacturers. In fact, this morning I had a conversation with with a manufacturer that's building some interesting stuff for the D series transmission gears whatsoever. And it looks very interesting. I've also been in communication with the builder that it's talking about some serious horsepower on his transmissions. So we'll get to it when we'll get to it. Now, next video, like I had mentioned before, is just gonna be an opening of what's in the box. Remember when I decided to start vlogging about this, or doing the YouTube videos, my engine block was already at Golden Eagle, and that it was already done that it was gonna go from Golden Eagle to Ohio to my builder. If you want to know who my engine builder is, his name is Melvin from Melvin Ports Engineering. He's done plenty of work for me, and the guy's great. Look him up on Facebook. So after that video, if you've seen the picture that I post of my block, that's my block in the picture. The notching on it, it's enormous, you know. So I'm going to be talking about my pistons and my rods. Like I said before, this is, you know, and I know somebody asked about it in one of my posts on social media. This is not another Vitara build. This is not another, you know, budget build. It's not. This is a very serious build. Rods are enormous. Pistons are, you know, they're off the shelf, but they have a lot of modifications on it. So I'm going to be talking about that on my next video. And also I'm going to be discussing what crankshaft I'm going to be using. Recent I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to be showing a D16A6 crank, a D16C6 crank, and a D16Y8. A lot of questions about it pop every day on the different blogs, so I'm gonna make a video about that, tell you what I'm gonna use, tell you what kind of work is gonna be we're gonna do on the crank, and you know, we'll go from there. Guys, if you like what you see, I know this video went a little bit longer than what I really had anticipated, but I think I gave a lot of information, a lot of things that is going to be helpful for you guys. If you like what you see, once again, please subscribe. Man Media TV on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. I'll continue to do videos. I'm going to do these two. They should be up in a couple of days. And seriously, I have to get to bed. I gotta be up. I gotta be up by 6:30. Be at work by 8. Remember, I'm paying for this all out of my pocket, so it's imperative that I get to work. Thank you guys. Have a good night, and see you in the next one.